Evening. I guess I'm on live. It's kind of boring. This is a Friday night. This isn't a fun place to be. I'm just sitting where I live. Watched a interesting video about the history of radar a little while ago. It reminded me of another, probably kind of stupid idea that I had, but I haven't seen anyone using it yet. So I just, thought I'd mention it. I don't know how it happens, but I read in the news during the past couple of years that for some reason there's been incidents of Navy ships colliding at sea. Uh, and I just don't, I really don't understand how it happens. When there's so much excellent technology, and radar has been existing for so many years. It makes you kind of wonder how could it possibly be that modern Navy ships could somehow collide at sea. So the idea that I had thought about uh, was basically I assumed that they probably already have it, you know. But what I recalled, I was reminded of while watching the video was that in aviation they have very mostly precise radar altimeters. The altimeters bounce a radio signal to the ground and measure the distance from the aircraft to the ground to the speed of the signal bouncing back and forth. Right? So anyway, that works fairly well. I remember that sometimes when we didn't have accurate working test equipment, a simple test was simply to point the antenna towards the hangar doors, and the signal test the radar altimeter, and back then radar altimeter wasn't totally necessary, but in weather difficulties, it could make a real significant difference. Difference. So anyway, I thought, why don't ships use radar altimeters sideways for maneuvering at sea in fog conditions or in stormy conditions or in refueling, replenishment scenes at night or whatever? Why don't they have the simple, they've had the radar altimeters on aircraft for so many years. Why don't they just have similar short range radar installed on ships to avoid collisions at sea? It's just, to me, it's such a simple, idea that I would have assumed that they've been on ships all through the years since, the advent of radar. And another idea, of course, that I had submitted to some, but as usual, the creepy slanders. I'm also stalked at by a father who faked his death. I was a pallbearer for my father's funeral back in 1967, but it turns out that he actually faked his death elaborately, and he kind of stalks and usurps in whatever ways that he can. But anyway, that isn't the subject of this. Uh, the idea had been, uh, again, a simple aviation usage of radio. You know that these days there's the elaborate GPS positioning system used in navigation, maritime navigation, and that it's used in big fancy yachts and everything. And it's very precise. And I think probably most everyone that has the technology is satisfied with it and doesn't see any need for anything else. But there is, I don't know if it exists or not. I would have another idea that I recently had that I would have always assumed was probably already in use was the idea of using the aviation. Again, from noticing something in aviation, ADF, automatic direction finding. Most or all uh, air, airports, air facilities have what is known as ADF transmitters, and the all aircraft have ADF automatic direction finder receivers. So anywhere that they be flying, each airport has a specific assigned frequency that they broadcast from, and a constant signal. So the aircraft is able to detect the signal, and then uses a instrument to point. That the signal becomes like a compass. The signal points the aircraft in the direction of the signal to guide the aircraft more directly to the precise location. So anyway, you wonder why don't they have something like that, like lighthouses? There's lighthouses all up around the coast, and they're through centuries before that they're there to try to comfort mariners in stormy seas. That there is a hope that you're going to make it to shore. But a lot of times it didn't work out that way. And even these days, there are instances of hazards at sea getting back to port when there's stormy conditions or fog conditions. And what I would have always thought was already in use would be that any port, and including major ports and also private marinas, that each would have ADF transmitter, and that any boat uh, would be equipped with a very easily affordable ADF receiver. And you know, all it would be, like if you have a boat, living in Sarasota, Florida, or wherever, that when you go out, your onboard computer or whatever, that you have a selection of different options. Channel such and such would be just the standard on, switch to dial. Sarasota would be one number, one channel. Tampa, another number, another channel, a different channel for Port Charlotte, a different channel for another, anywhere. And depending upon the strength of the transmitter, onshore transmitter, that anyone offshore, whether they had GPS or not, would have a less expensive option of simply locking onto a radio signal transmitted from whatever harbor that they're seeking to get to. So within a certain amount of range, and it would be really a simple idea, and when they get close to shore, of course there could be the options of lesser signals, guidance signals on buoys or whatever. To simply where a person could just switch on and be told to steer such and such degrees, whatever direction to make sure to get in the channel, whatever, if there's fog. So anyway, I thought I'd mention a couple of those ideas I thought of during the most recent years, and sent to the oblivion of news stations that don't reply about anything. You know, I don't know if they're living beyond uh, some kind of a Twilight Zone curtain or whatever. But anyway, I just recently discovered this YouTube capability again. I just thought I'd mention it. If I had a boat, I'd always like the idea of having the option of just turning a dial on in the dead of night or during a fog, having a needle on a gate on an instrument pointing me exactly back to where I want to be.